OGDuffy and welcome back to another one of my Versus videos. This time we're taking a look at this arcade classic. Remember it from the day? I certainly do. I loved this game back in the day. It was a Sega release from 1986 and it is Wonder Boy. Great game, thoroughly enjoyable. Now this converted to the ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64 and the Amstrad CPC, and we're going to take a look at all three of those versions today in my Versus video, and we'll compare. We'll see how well they do. But as always, we'll take a look at the arcade classic first, and so we have a good idea what we're talking about, and then we'll take a look at the three home 8-bit versions and see which one comes out best in my my comparison, my verdict at the end. So without further ado, Wonder Boy on the arcade. So this is Wonder Boy, here we go. A jump button, and you have like an attack button as well, similar to Mario really. You run along, you collect fruits. It's a general sort of platformer. At the shelves come various weapons, skateboards, stuff like that. And you just make your way through too. You reach the end of level bosses. It gets harder as it progresses. And as you can see, it was a good basic game. I mean, it starts quite slow. It does get harder, trust me. Here we go, this is the skateboard. I was never keen on getting the skateboard for that very reason, although it did give you sort of an extra life bit if you wanted it. Hey, also I look at the game screen when I'm playing. But this is just to give you a general idea. Listen to the tune. Quite nice sound effects, it played well. And this was it. So what it is, I'm currently in work today. This is my weekend job, and I work in an escape rooms for those that are interested in Faversham. Clever dilemma escape rooms. Google us, take a look. But no, this is Wonder Boy. So from the Sega Classic. Remember playing this a lot back in the arcade when I was younger, because it was one of them. You got good value for your money. You know what I mean? And you could soon learn the levels as well. To be absolutely honest, I'm a bit rusty. They're meant to be boulders. I always thought they were little fluffy clouds. When I was playing it many moons ago. There we go, got this angel now that helps you. Nothing can kill you when you've got the angel going on. You can even run through fire, look at that. Of course, as per usual, limited. But now you can see it's starting to get on the platform levels and stuff, alright? Also, you had like a health bar at the top here. When that reached 0, you were out, okay? So that's why you had to collect the fruits. So, I hope that gives you a general idea of how the game works. Now, let's go take a look at the, let's do Amstrad CPC first. So this was the loading screen for the Amstrad CPC. And graphically, quite bright graphics as you can see, here it goes. Obviously compared to the arcade version, nowhere near as bright. Scrolling on this was a bit jittery. But it stuck to the original levels. I mean, pretty much everything was in place, which was in place in the correct places, obviously for the arcade levels, so it's quite accurate in that respect. Sound, not too bad. Played the little ditty tune that I let you have a quick listen to in the arcade version. Not bad, but slow. Seemed to play quite slow, the Amstrad version, as you can see here. Now, Activision were the company that ported this Sega game over to the 8-bit systems. About to say, did they do a good job? Well, we'll find out in the verdict as always. Now, in terms of reviews, I mean, the go-to magazine back in the day for this sort of stuff was Computer and Video Games. They used to generally do overall reviews for games and stuff, and it was a great magazine, and they gave this a total of 64%, 64 out of 100, so 64%. Is that a fair review? Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Do you remember playing this game? Did you own this on any of the 8-bit systems? If so, and you got this on your Amstrad, were you disappointed? Happy with it? I don't know. Let me know. Well, this was level 1, and we're going to be showing exactly the same level for the Commodore 64 and for the ZX Spectrum also. So that was the Amstrad. Next up, let's take a look at the ZX Spectrum. So this is the Specky, there was the loading screen. weren't too bad actually. Loading screen, quite impressed with that one. As you can hear, the Specky had a go at emulating the sound from the arcade original. Didn't do too bad of it. Now graphically, this weren't too bad. It's monochrome as you would expect from the Spectrum quite often. But I did have a problem with this when playing it, and I'll tell you what it was. If I focus on just the character, the main character sprite, I weren't too bad. But as soon as you start looking ahead and seeing what's coming and what you've got to jump and all that sort of stuff, I found it started hurting my head. It weren't good, and not in a nice way. It was a bit too much. It was not jittery, it just didn't flow very well. But like I say, graphically, it was quite sharp. It was quite, the sprites were laid out very well. It played faster than the Amstrad version, I think, this version. And all in all, not too bad. But how does it compare to the Amstrad? How does it compare to the C64 version, which we're about to look at after this one? Again, this is level 1, which we said we would do for all versions. To make it a fair comparison, of course. Review-wise, this didn't do too bad. It got average reviews from Sinclair, etc., user and what have you. But yeah, overall, I don't know. Would you have been happy with this? Again, let me know in the comments. So that's Wonder Boy on the Spectrum. Next up, Commodore 64. Well, this was the loading screen from the 64. Very bright, very nice. First thing I recognised with this, obviously, graphically, nice and bright. And the scrolling on this version seems a bit more precise compared to the other two. This was not painful to play compared to the Specky version. The Specky version, I'd say, it hurt my eyes, mate. It was doing something in my head. It weren't good. But this scrolls nicely. Sticks to the arcade original in terms of the levels and stuff very, very well. The little ditty tune is very well represented here with great game sounds and things. So it weren't too bad, you know. I'm quite impressed with this version. Now, back in the day, Zap magazine, which was the go-to for Commodore 64, gave this 52%. So, well, the Amstrad version got a better review from the Game Press than this version. Is that fair? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that was the 3 versions. Let's take a look at my verdict. Verdict time. We just looked at the brilliant Wonder Boy. Now, remember, I loved this at the arcades, alright? It was brilliant at the arcades, and for that, Sega, I toast you. Another great arcade produced game by a great company. But let's get to the home versions now. It was a good game, and I loved this game, and I was so excited when it was coming out on the 8-bit systems. Right, we'll start off. Let's go ZX Spectrum first. Monochrome graphics, which was not uncommon for ZX Spectrum. It just didn't do it for me. And to be honest, playing it with this gave me a bit of headache. It was, I don't know, it was all a bit painful on the eyes. It just didn't flow as naturally as I would have liked. Let's do Amstrad next. Amstrad weren't bad, okay. And then of course the C64. Now the winner this week is the C64, and as always I'll tell you why. It's because it was the most playable of the 3 in my mind. All right. It played nicely, it scrolled well, it done everything it should have done and more. But all of them fairly average. The CPC, Amstrad CPC, I didn't like the scroll on it. It was too jittery, too yeah, glitchy, and it didn't need to be. So the C64 takes it on this one. Shame really, because none of them were brilliant conversions compared to the arcade original. I mean, we've done games like this in the past, and we've had some great conversions, but this one wasn't the great conversion. But of the 3, the C64 was the better version for me to play at home. Okay, so that's the verdict. The C64 takes it this week. Now, as always, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, like the video. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with my verdict. And any future videos or any ideas of versus videos you'd like me to do for you, I'll happily give them a go. Okay, so anyway folks, it's an out from OGDuffy, and here's a cheers to Sega for producing some of the greatest games of the arcades of the 80s and early 90s. So anyway, this is to Wonderboy. Cheers, and I'll see you all next week. Stay safe. If you watch the video and you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe for more great videos. Thanks for watching.